Hi, grades 3 to 5. Let's get started on our read aloud. Go grab your doodle books, grab your coloring pages, and let's get going. Daniel came over the next afternoon. Did you write to Santa yet? I asked. I'm Jewish, Daniel said. I don't believe in that stuff. Oh, I thought. Fudge said you'd asked for a bicycle for Christmas. I celebrate Hanukkah, and I did ask for a bicycle. Who'd you ask? My mother and father. Who do you think? I thought maybe you had a Hanukkah fairy or something. You're really silly, Daniel said, shoving a handful of pretzels into his mouth. Thanks, Daniel. Coming from you? That's a compliment. You're welcome, Daniel said. Then he walked away mumbling, Hanukkah fairy. Our class had a holiday party on the day before vacation with Christmas cookies and island punch. I didn't drink any of it this time, not even one cup, even though I was thirsty. No point in taking chances. We each got to pull a silly present out of a grab bag. I got a pair of red plastic lips. Mr. Bogner brought in a sprig of mistletoe and asked us what we knew about it. Alex raised his hand and said, "Oh well, if you get caught standing under it, you might get kissed." Anything else? Mr. Bogner said. Elaine said, "If you want to get kissed, you should try standing under it." Everybody laughed. Anything else that isn't related to kissing? Mr. Bogner asked. No one answered. Well then, I think you should know that mistletoe is a plant which grows as a parasite on the trunks of trees. Birds eat the shiny white fruits called berries, but these berries are poisonous to man. Early European people used mistletoe as a ceremonial plant. That probably explains why we tend to use it at Christmas time. While he was talking, he walked to the back of the room and hung the sprig of mistletoe near the coat closet. Later, when the bell rang and I ran to get my coat, I found myself standing next to Joanne under the mistletoe. We looked at each other, and then she leaned over and kissed my cheek. As soon as she did, she turned bright red, and for a minute I thought she was going to cry, but she didn't. So then I apologized and I walked away. On Christmas morning, Fudge woke the rest of us before 6 o'clock. I got it! I got it! I got it! He shrieked. A big red bicycle without training wheels. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Santa, whoever you are, wherever you are. We all ran downstairs to open our presents. Turtle got everything on his list, and so did Tootsie, but she preferred the wrapping paper and ribbons to anything else. Besides my clock radio and a check from Grandma. I also got a surprise, a gift certificate for 4 CDs. At 7:30, Mom whipped up a batch of pancakes. At 10 o'clock, Dad fell asleep on the living room sofa, and Mom conked out right on the floor. That night, Fudge came to my room. I was sitting up in bed, reading the instruction manual that came with my clock radio. Will you teach me to ride my bicycle? He asked. Sure, I told him. As soon as the snow melts, Daniel says he's going to learn to ride on the grass. That's crazy. If you fall off your bike in the street, you can get hurt, Fudge said. So you'll get a few scraped knees. Scraped knees bleed, don't they? Sometimes, I said. I don't like to bleed. Don't worry. Did you get scraped knees when you were learning to ride? A couple of times, I said. You don't fall that much, believe me. I believe you. He climbed up on my bed and lay back against the pillows. Santa didn't bring you everything you wanted, did he? I didn't expect him to. I would have got you a laptop, but I didn't have that much money. I didn't expect a laptop. I was just kidding around. Me too, Fudge said. What do you mean? I asked. All that Santa stuff. I put down my instruction manual and looked at him. What do you mean, all that Santa stuff? I know there is no Santa, he said. Since when do you know? Since always. You don't believe in Santa? I asked. He laughed. No, not ever. Then why? Because Mommy and Daddy think I believe in him, so I pretend. You pretend? You mean that all those letters and all that? He smiled at me. Aren't I a great pretender? Yeah, I said. You're the best. Dad stopped talking about his book. I had the feeling it wasn't going very well. Instead, he talked about growing vegetables and how to cook them Chinese style, or about the Princeton University hockey team. He took me to all their home games. When Jimmy Fargo came to visit, he joined us. I'm really into violence. Jimmy said, I think hockey's a great game. It's a lot bloodier than football, and there are more team fights. That's not what hockey is all about, Dad argued. It's a game of skill, of timing, and of precision. Yeah, sure, Jimmy said. I know all of that, but it's still great to see the blood bounce on the ice. Blood bounces on ice? I asked. Yeah, Jimmy said, and so does vomit. See, it has to do with the temperature of the ice versus the temperature of the body. And Jimmy, please, Dad said, turning green. It's true, Mr. Hatcher. They both bounce on ice. Maybe so, Dad said, but that's not the reason we go to the games. I know, Jimmy said, but it's a nice side event. Dad shook his head and began to check off players' names on the list inside his program. Jimmy leaned across me and tapped Dad's arm. I'm not a violent person, Mr. Hatcher. Don't get the wrong idea. It's just that it's a healthy way to use up some of my aggressive energy. Hey, Jimmy, I said. Yeah? Please stop talking. Okay, sure, Jimmy said, and he was quiet until nearly the end of the third period when 4 of the players got into a fight. Then he stood up and yelled, Fight, fight, fight! I tugged at his sweater until he sat down again.